back to another episode of Badminton Weekly with me, Jasmine Lim. We've come to an end of 9 very exciting days where we saw both China and Indonesia competing in both finals of the TotalEnergies BWF Thomas and Uber Cup. Now, joining me to talk about the highs and the lows of the tournament is Chris Langridge, a former British player. So welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks very much for having me.
So Chris, let's start with the Thomas Cup. And of course, China were the winners, but I want to know, what are your thoughts on the team's overall performance?
Yeah, I think overall China have done incredible. Before the tournament, I don't think they were massive favourites. They were definitely one of the big teams that everyone thought were going to do well, but I wouldn't have had them down as the big favourites like in the Uber Cup, where for me China were the massive favourites.
Okay.
I think the one big, two players for me personally that stood out, Xiuqi, just because he was the man that was leading the team. He was favourite in almost every single game, but he had to deliver, and he did. The other player, which I would say was a chance for him to shine, was Ren in the men's doubles. Sorry, part of the partnership. It's not just all him. But no, I think he's a guy who's been in the shadow for a little bit, and a lot of people haven't seen him on the world scene, you know, delivering for China like he did today. And I think for 75% of the match today, he was very, very good. And I think he's a player that deserves a bit more credit than he gets.
And you mentioned earlier Shiji were one of the key players for this, and he played a fantastic first match for Team China, and as team captain, he definitely knew the importance of his win in the opening showdown.
对，因为作为一单来说，确实会有压力，但是在主场作战的话，我觉得会把这个压力转为动力吧。包括观众有很多就是在对我们的鼓励啊、呐喊啊，我觉得，然后对于我来说，必须要放平心态，去把这个注意力放在这个场上，才能够发挥得更好。觉得确实我们的口号也是重夺汤杯嘛，也是有2年，有2次，应该是2年吧，2届吧，然后就没拿回来。我觉得这次来对我来说，因为作为一单的话，我能够现在6场球全赢了吧，我觉得再把汤杯拿回来，对我来说确实非常激动，也对我是一种激励吧。
So Shiji, he was obviously a fantastic player here. What about his game do you think really helped him win that?
I think, you know, he's a player that has probably over the last 6 months really shone, first of all, and he's up to world number 2, and he's going to be just behind, or it's going to be very close to him and Victor for world number 1. One big thing is obviously the pressure. You know, going out there representing the country, you're the one that has to deliver to start the team off in the right way.
Yeah.
But his game, you know, it's so complete. He's calm, he moves the shuttle around well. His overhead almost every shot overhead looks the same, so he's very deceptive. It's hard to read exactly what he's going to do. He's so accurate with his, you know, if it's a straight smash, cross smash, doesn't matter. The accuracy is incredible. Yeah, and even in the match against Korea, when Xiuqi maybe his form dipped slightly, he managed to pick it right back up, and you could see the pressure was on him, and I don't think he was quite performing at the same level, but he managed to find a solution, which is, you know, the key. When you're not playing well, but you still manage to win. And then the other matches, and especially obviously today in the final, Xiuqi was pretty much unplayable, especially in the second game.
Before we move on to the Uber Cup, as we've been reporting the last few episodes, the end of the tournament also marks the last dance for Kento Momota on the international stage. Last episode, we heard from Momota as well as the players' contingent, but we can't forget about the commentators who have journeyed with him this whole while. Here is Gillian Clark and Steen Pedersen on the Japanese retirement.
It's mixed emotions. I'm sure that's the same for Momota himself. Sad, but also I think very privileged that we've had the opportunity to commentate on one of the most naturally gifted players and one of the most dominant players. Yep, how did I prepare? I just got together his stats, and I wanted to savour absolutely every moment.
I was mostly relying on Jill's extensive research, so I was actually quite focused on what level he had, because there was some signs that he actually played quite okay, and I think he did. He went undefeated in his 3 matches. I think had it gone down to the wire in the match against Malaysia, I think he could have pulled off a win. I would have loved to see a fairy tale ending. That's not to be. It's very few that gets a fairy tale ending on their career, but he's reached so many highs throughout his career that he can be pretty proud and pretty satisfied.
It's obvious he's not the player that he was in his prime, but it's still a privilege and a joy to watch him. All the fans here in Chengdu knew his story. They all knew he was going to retire after this event. They gave him such a reception. They cheered every match, and certainly the last match that we commentated on, for the second game, he was the only player on court. All the other courts had finished. So it was sort of like the spotlight on Momota, and the fans loved it. They loved every minute. I think what was also so lovely was the fact that Momota, who very rarely in his career showed any emotion, was obviously loving it. He was smiling, he was enjoying the process, and he played well and he won. So, I mean, it was just fantastic.
No, I totally agree with Jill. It was a fantastic moment. We saw him showing the emotions, and that was really, really nice. He's always been a fantastic player, and I think his career is not a career that's been in a straight line. Momota, unfortunately, I hope he will stay in badminton in some form, either in coaching or in officiating. I wish him the very, very best in the future.
Thanks, Jill and Steen. Momota will definitely be missed from the international scene. Now, moving on to the Uber Cup, where China lifted the trophy for a record 16th time. That's really amazing. And before we touch on this remarkable win, let's talk about their finals opponent, Team Indonesia. Were they your favorites going in, and did you think they were going to go so deep?
If I'm honest, I was very surprised that Indonesia made it to the final. I think they did incredible, because when you look at the team on paper, so young, you know, and I'd say a lot of the players haven't quite got the experience on the big, you know, the big stage. But wow, you know, they surprised everyone. And you know, I think we've seen a new star born, as it were, just because, you know, Esther, well, they're incredible. I think Chico might have a challenge for who's the best in the family soon. So yeah, if Esther can continue in this form, you know, she's got Gregoria to kind of chase, as it were, as in someone to look up to, a teammate. It was obviously had a good connection, because it was, you know, it was that emotional moment after she won, and they, you know, they hugged and there were tears and everything. You know, I got choked up. Like, it was an emotional thing, and it was amazing seeing that connection. And obviously she's looking up to her as a role model, and if she follows in those footsteps, you're gonna have two incredible players. Well,
yeah. Was there anything specific about, you know, Esther's playing style that you thought really was amazing?
I mean, similar to Gregoria's. Not the same, but it is similar. I mean, overhead attack, very deceptive, so much variation, high skill level, which no surprise, she's Indonesian. But her net, again, great touch. I think she covered the court well. There were no times where she looked scared. There were no times where she doubted herself, really. She didn't get swept up in the emotions, which is so impressive. She's 18, you know, she's so young, and it's so easy to, you can overthink and you can accidentally get carried away. You can get too excited, you can get nervous, you can get stressed. Your shot selection can go, you can try to win the point too early. She didn't do any of this. Yeah, there were tiny moments, but the whole way she played throughout was so impressive, and she challenged, you know, Herbing Zhao, number 6 in the world, Ahuri, 11 in the world, and she was very close to both of them, and these are two of the best players in the world.
Not an easy
so
feat.
It's not, and especially at her age, and if you look at her ranking, it wouldn't suggest really it's, you know, she should be able to, and obviously winning the crucial game against Thailand, it was, you know, yeah, definitely a new star has been born, and the whole world has seen it, you know, on the big stage. We have seen the future of Indonesia ladies singles, and it's very impressive.
We managed to catch Esther after her final match, and here's what she and her team members have to say.
Yang pasti rasanya cukup senang bisa bermain di final, dan tadi juga performa saya cukup baik, dan tidak kalah juga teman-teman saya sebelumnya juga bermain udah maksimal, maksudnya udah berusaha juga mau nunjukin yang terbaik. Jadi ya happy, 14 tahun ya lama ya, maksudnya kita udah menanti-nantikan momen ini. Jadi ya kita cukup bangga, satu tim juga bangga sama performa di sini. Jadi ya ini sangat berharga buat kami.
Sangat bangga sampai nggak bisa diungkapkan dengan kata-kata, karena aku mempunyai tim yang sangat kompak, dan juga aku yakin kita berusaha keras untuk ini. Setiap hari kita latihan, dan kita bisa buktikan di sini bahwa tim Uber Indonesia itu bagus, dan saya sangat bangga dengan perjuangan kami. Kayaknya aku akan mencoba untuk lebih baik lagi di turnamen kedepannya, dan ini sangat berarti untuk aku karena aku belajar banyak di turnamen ini. Jadinya pasti aku berharap ini bisa membawa kemajuan yang bagus untuk diriku sendiri dan juga untuk tim aku.
Ini sangat fenomenal juga untuk saya, karena ini pertama kali saya, ini keempat Uber saya dan langsung masuk ke final. Kali ini sedih. Saya nggak tahu 2 tahun ke depan lagi saya bisa main di sini atau tidak. Jadi ini sangat sangat fenomenal untuk saya dan sekiranya ini bisa jadi momentum yang baik untuk saya sendiri.
Well, we're rooting for you, and your fans are as well. Is there anything you want to say to your fans?
Terima kasih untuk semua masyarakat, terutamanya masyarakat Indonesia, selalu dukung dan support Uber Indonesia, dan kami bisa mendapatkan runner up di sini. Terima kasih, doa kalian sangat berharga untuk kami semua. Terima kasih.
Now, let's talk about the winners, Team China. They had a perfect record throughout the tournament, didn't drop a single match. But who were you most impressed by?
Yeah, I mean, that statistic is kind of mind-blowing, that you can go throughout the whole team competition and not one player has lost a match to anyone. I'd have to say Chen Yufei, just because she went out there and she delivered. She was favourite in every match, yes, but her performances were incredible. You know, there were no points where her level lowered. Well, there were maybe like a rally, you know, which is unbelievable. We know she's very good, Olympic champion, you know, but to deliver in front of the home crowd, you got a bit of pressure on you, you're going out there, you're the first player representing the team. She's very, 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 very popular in China. I mean, I saw people like nearly crying when they were near her. She's so famous, but the pressure then mounts because you have to deliver.
Yeah.
But she did. You know, the level she played at, it's a bit of a sign to the others that she's coming for another Olympic gold, I think.
Chen Yufei led the way to the Uber Cup win, but it was ultimately He Bingjiao who secured that last win for the champions. We had a chance to speak to her to find out how she felt lifting the trophy.
对，确实，有一点紧张。这种紧张，它跟0比2上去的紧张还有点不一样，就是感觉要赢的时候，反而压力也会很大。对，因为上一次我们输掉了尤杯，所以这一次能在家乡的球迷面前把尤杯拿回来，我觉得是真正意义上的我们把尤杯带回家了。
And that particular moment, you know, lifting that cup, what were you feeling? What were your emotions holding that cup?
觉得这个尤杯真的有点重。
Well, the cup may have been heavy, but I'm sure Team China didn't mind. So congratulations again on their magnificent win. And of course, a big thank you to you, Chris, for sharing all your wonderful insights with us.
Thanks very much for having me.
A tournament of this magnitude takes a village. And as I spent the last 9 days talking to the players and watching the matches, I've also had the opportunity to find out just how much it takes to make an event like this happen. Firstly, we witnessed a gathering of 288 athletes hailing from 32 countries, converging from every corner of the globe. An astounding 1,900 shuttlecocks were provided for them for the entirety of the tournament. With those, the players have provided us with exhilarating matches here at the High Technology Zone Sports Center, a venue that boasts over 12,000 seats. 9,389 fixed seats and 2,794 adjustable seats to be exact. Speaking of atmosphere, it has been great outside the halls as well, with 22 fan booths, as you can see right here, catering to enthusiasts of all ages, fostering an unforgettable experience between the matches for the fans. So we got something special from one of the 22 booths. This is supposedly durian pineapple pizza. So I'm gonna give it a try. I recommend this if you like durian. And behind the scenes, a dedicated team of 650 rights holders, media crew members worked tirelessly, resulting in an impressive 300 TV hours broadcasted worldwide, bringing the magic of badminton to the screens in 88 different countries. Let's not forget our unsung heroes, the 450 volunteers who contributed selflessly to ensure the smooth running of the tournament.
안녕하세요. Apa kabar? Hello.
Apa kabar?
Minasan konnichiwa.
And finally, meet our translators. We've got 10 of them dedicated to the mixed zone and 8 here with me right now, working across 6 languages to ensure every player's voice is heard. So those are the numbers that made up the tournament, and until the next one, bye-bye from Chengdu!